Hi guys! Welcome back to my channel, Swan Vlogs. Papasok na ako kay Kunars! And for today's video, I'm gonna talk about the experience I had when I watched the Bullshift nurse with. It was also exciting. I have been a fan of Nurse Even for a long time. I've been subscribed to his YouTube videos. I followed him on Instagram and all those things. So seeing him randomly here in Singapore, I was super excited. I actually didn't even know that Nurse Even would have a show here, but then my husband saw it and then he just decided to tell me na to buy the ticket. So I was able to watch. Anyway, fast forward to that. So the day came. So I went to Stephen Riadi Auditorium. And I know I have a little bit of clips through my journey going to the events place, and also the footage of me meeting Nurse Even. But I'd like to tell you first what happened during the show. So, okay, so the venue itself was very, very nice. It was not as like super big, but it accommodated a lot of people, and there were two sections, right? So here and then here. So there were two sections. So I was located here where the stage was nearer, but the VIP section was only half of the first part of the venue. So when we were booking, the VIP section ran out, but fortunately, I was still in the first section. My seat was still located there. So I went to my location, and you know what? It's so sad because I wanted my husband to go with me. And then I think the only vacant seat in the auditorium, or I think it was bought, but the person who bought it did not come. So the only seat that was vacant was my right side, my right seat. So there, I was there, and then there were lots of nurses, there were lots of healthcare professionals. And then when Nurse Even came out, oh my God, it was so noisy and everyone was excited. And then so usually Nurse Even would like that dance or sing and then make some comedy skit, and in between those he would do interview from the audiences. And golly, I got to be interviewed because when he was actually looking for non-healthcare workers. So I, of course, knowing me, I'm very, very hyper, and I was very excited. I was willing to to volunteer and all that stuff. So I raised my hand really loud, and then I shouted, "Wah!" And then it so happened that I was the only one doing that. So I caught Nurse Evan's attention, and then he would interview me. And then I was so nervous um, because when I raised my hand, so he saw me, right? But he was able to call the attention of another person on the other side. But then, since my scream was so loud, it also got his attention. And then he said, "Okay, I'll talk to you later, ma'am, ganyan." Tapos he even said that I was pretty. Oh my God, I'm so flattered. But he always says that because, his tagline, pretty, check, and raw. So I was like, okay, that's cool. But Nurse even told me I'm pretty. So, And then when he was done interviewing the first person he called, he shifted his look towards our place. So he was saying, "Oh, asan niyo yung pretty na madam na nakita ko na doon, banda doon." Tapos parang, at that moment, I was not assuming that he was really talking to me because, I don't know, someone might be raising their hands at the back of where my seat was. So I was like, huh? And then I looked back and then said, ako ba yun? Tapos tinaas ko yung kamay ko, and then I lifted my hands. And then, okay, I stood, and then he started to interview, and then you know what's so amazing? He complimented me by saying, Oh, wow naman si ma'am. So pretty. Kanina ko pa nakikita yung smile niya. Ang ganda, ganyan. So I was so flattered. Oh my gosh. And then, I think it's more not because he was complimenting me, but because it was Nurse Even who was my super, during times when we were like, when I was like solo and I used to really, really watch his videos religiously, I was like, finally, I'm like face to face with him. And then so he interviewed me and then he asked me, oh, you're a non-health worker, so what's your job? Ganyan. Sabi ko, and then I said, actually, I'm still looking, ganyan, ganyan. Tapos sabi niya, and then he said, oh, illegal, ano yun, illegal, parang illegally, he was implying that I was here in Singapore illegally. And then everybody laughed, and I said no. Then Nurse Even asked me, oh, how long have you stayed here in Singapore, ganyan. So I said, oh, actually, tomorrow it's our 3rd month here. And then he said, oh, so who is with you? I said, my husband and my kids. So where are they? And then I said, at home. And then he said, oh, you're looking for a job pala. Oh, welcome natin si ma'am. And then he asked for my name. He actually asked my name first pala. I forgot. And then I said, Swen. And then when Nurse Even said, huh? I said, Swen, Southwest, East, North. And then he said, oh, huh? Anong tama nito ni ate? And then everybody laughed again. And I was like, no, it stands for Southwest, East, North. Sabi niya, ganyan, ganyan. So it was so cool. And then after that, so the interview went. And then Nurse even called me, okay, thank you, Ma'am Swen. And then napa-comment siya na, oh, natawag ko talaga siyang Ma'am Swen, ganyan. And then I was so happy. And then after that, after my interview, so he did another one of those skits, and then came to the other batches of interview. And then he actually interviewed one person who was like, Nurse Even asked, okay, who is the longest staying here in Singapore? So a woman raised her hand and she said, oh, here, I have been here for 20 years. And so then the interview started. And so when Nurse Even asked what was her job, she said, oh, I'm actually looking I'm actually looking to hire a Filipino, ganyan. And then Nurse Even suddenly said, oh, ayan, si ma'am na illegal. What was his term? I kept on forgetting. It was like illegal settler yan or something. Oh, ayan, si ma'am na illegal settler. Come on, baka ito na opportunity mo mag-work. Ganyan. Tapos tawa. And then everybody was laughing and stuff. Oh my gosh. And then I can't forget about it because I get to like, he remembered me, he like interviewed me, and then it's surreal. The fact that I was able to actually just see him in person, it was it. I was super content. But then these things happen and then it puts it to another level, and the entire show was a blast. Like there was no dull moment, and also from the audience there were audience. There was a specific audience. I wish I should have taken like a video of us so that I could include him in this vlog. But shout out to Jay. Oh my God, he was so funny. That's for another story, but he was very funny that even Nurse Even relied a bit on his interview to make the crowd go crazy, and he delivered. Oh my gosh. So yeah, and then the show concluded and everybody was happy, and then I was just at the end of the show I was like, okay, I'll just take a selfie from this, the backdraft and the where the Stephen Rea, the auditorium was located. So I took photos. I'm gonna insert here some photos. And then I had a crazy idea of, okay, no, not yet. So I went out of the auditorium, right? And then there were a lot of people that got congested where the elevator the elevator is. So it was really congested because a lot of people were coming out and have to go down to the main entrance and exit, right? So I thought to myself, okay, I'll just get some footages. I'll include here also. I'll just get some footages and some pictures. And then all of a sudden, I thought to myself, maybe it's great if I could just wait until everyone, like people slowly, it gets lessened and there were lesser people, and then I'll just wait for Nurse Even to get out. So maybe I can have a quick selfie. Okay, so that was the plan. And then so it happened. So I just waited and waited, and then the door to the back part of the stage was open, right? So I was like, oh my gosh, I think they're gonna come out. I think I'm gonna wait here, and I think I'm gonna have a photo with Nurse Even. But then I was waiting, and then so I transferred a little bit nearer to the entrance door to the auditorium, and then there were like people who were working for the event who was coming in and out of that door. So I was like, I was checking, and then there was this guy who was calling out to his colleague, but his colleague was not like, he was telling him that, hey, come on na, come here, let's go in na, ganyan, ganyan. And then the other colleague was like, nah, I'll go later. And then I suddenly blurted out like, oh, I can come in. It's okay. And then like as a joke, so I could just sneak in and see Nurse Even. And then he just smiled, and then he went inside, and then a few minutes, or just like a minute, 1 minute later, another colleague of his went out, and then the other colleague said, oh, he was holding like a VIP wristband. Okay, it was like open. This was like an extra, and then he said, oh, do you want to come in? And then I said, oh my God, for me? I was like super ecstatic because that wristband would allow me to have a selfie with Nurse Even. So I said, oh my God, I'm going to show you. I'm going to get it. So this is the wristband that I got. So it says VIP Nurse Even Singapore, okay? And this is from, I also want to shout out to the best productions ever, DMR Productions, if you're watching. Yeah. So yeah, so somebody gave me this, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm finally gonna have a photo with Nurse Even. So I went in, and then I said, thank you guys, thank you so much. And then I went to the line where the photo was being taken. I was the last one. I'm gonna insert some clips here, and then that's it. I was able to finally have a photo with Nurse Even. But you know what? It was so funny because at the first few, like, the line was actually very, like, it's long. But then at the latter part, since we were the last ones to have a photo with Nurse Even, he was like, okay, sige na, dalian mo na, overtime na. You know, he was like that. It was so funny. And you know, one thing that I'm so proud of Nurse Even is, even if he is so successful and he is, he had really improved on the whole perspective of his life, he remains humble, he remains true to himself, and that's one thing that I am so looking up. Like, that's something that I look up to, no matter what, no matter how big of a person you are, or how popular you might be, or how budding creator you might be. But if you are a humble person, then that's the best. So shout out Nurse Even. Thank you so much for making our wonderful experience of your show the best show ever. I'm so happy that I finally got to meet you. I hope you can see this vlog. I know you're so busy right now, but I hope one day you can watch this and you will see that I'm one of those commenters in your vlogs who have supported you through and through. So thank you so much for this experience, and I'm looking forward for your return. Thank you. And guys, if you want to check out my other videos, please click on the playlist that we have on this channel, or you can just wait for the next video to load. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye! Steven!
Stress na. Hoy, nag-introduction pa lang ako mga Kunars, kasi sama naman ako galing dito sa Singapore. Sinabi ko na din loose, sabi niya, anong pakyo kayo? Diyos ko, yung mga nasa likod, naiintindihan ko pa kasi nga, ang layo nyo na. Mga Kunars, tapos na po ang show. Pwede po ba tayo mag-open ng flashlight para
Pretty check and tayo sa venue. Dito na tayo. Ay, wala akong mic pala. Dito tayo sa Stephen. Para mapanood si Kunars. Oh my gosh, this is it. This is it, pansit. Look! Nag-vlog ako. This is it, pansit. Magpapapicture na with Nurse Even. Oh my God. Okay, calm, chill. Wait lang. Oh my gosh, ako na po ang magpapapicture kay Nurse Even. Oh my God, look. Okay, Nurse Even! Oh my God!
Uy, ano yun mo na si Maria doon?
Ay, picture pa yan? Ay, picture mo na. Pwede mo hilangin pose?
Oo, na paano ba?
Yung ganun.
Dalian mo na, 10 minutes na!
Okay.
Oh, selfie na tayo.
Oh, sige.
Dalian.